Good morning, everyone. Hopefully everyone's doing well on another Thursday morning. Again, this is the weekly preferred vendor update. So this is for you guys, the vendors, in preparation for the Innovation Showcase coming up in March. As you guys join the call today, you were muted. If you have any questions throughout this call, feel free to unmute yourself. You can do so by hitting *6 on your phone, or you can use the Q&A function in the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So you'll notice that this presentation today, I've taken off all of the Overland Park Convention Center because since we're past registration, my assumption is everyone knows where it's going to be and all of that information around the actual location itself. So the presentation is shortened now until we kind of get into the meat of everything with the show. But one thing about the showcase organization is what we have here. Again, registration is still highlighted. If you have any questions around that, the one thing, again, to point out to all you guys is that email address, that annual showcase at awginc.com. Again, if you have any questions whatsoever about the showcase and you don't know where to go, that is the one place to go to. So you kind of have that lifeline out there that you can reach out to. The other lanes here, we've got center store, fresh, sales and services, VMC. Those are all typical for this show. One thing to call out is on the food. That's a new lane this year. Jenny's running with that. So if you got any questions about food preparation, how things need to be bagged, what can you bring, what you cannot bring. So that's a good place to go to. Jenny can get you to where you need to be. The second thing to call out on here is the mobile app. Obviously, that's pretty big for the show. I'm running with that this year. So if you have any questions around how that's going to work, feel free to reach out to me if you're having some issues with it, or you know what, if you got some suggestions for next year, I'm all ears on that also. And then the very bottom one there, workshop and learning lounge. And again, we'll get into this here in a little bit. That is just a huge area inside of the showcase. Lots of communication going on, lots of back and forth with you guys, the vendors. And Kate's running with that. So it's not just Kate. Kate's got a whole team behind her helping out with that area. So that's why her email address is the annual showcase email address. So again, anything about that workshop, learning lounge, culinary area, that's the email to use. Just use that annual showcase email address, and then she'll get those questions answered for you. Learning lounge, educational sessions. That's exactly what I was talking about with Kate. We're past this now, since we're past registration. That was one of the options on there. If you are interested in doing an educational workshop, learning lounge, the submissions were supposed to be in November 30th. We kind of extended that just a little bit. But I will say these two links here, if you are interested in doing an educational workshop or a learning lounge this year, or the culinary stage, fill these out. These have to be in by Friday, by this week, because we are going to take this and we're going to start lining out what does the learning lounges, the educational workshops, what is that going to look like, so people can start preparations. We look at it from our perspective, from the number of learning lounges that we need, based upon the need that you guys, from the need that you guys need, right? So whatever you guys want to do, let us know. Fill out this form. We need to know that, yes, you are 100% in on this. You may not have all the information for the learning lounge or the educational workshop that you want to do, but you at least got to let us know that, yes, I'm interested, so we can slot you in and make sure we can reserve a spot for you for the show. I can tell you, after this week, that's it. If you come to us afterwards, the likelihood of getting in there is probably slim to none, if I had to take a guess, because we've got a lot of print work going on. We've got a lot of scheduling work going on. So it's very critical that if you want to do an education workshop, learning lounge, let us know. You got to let us know by the end of the week. Vendor sponsorship registration, we're past that also. So that's the other critical thing this week, is we're done with registration. We're taking, one of the big questions that you guys always have for us, which is great, is how big is my booth going to be? Where's the location going to be? What can I bring? What can I, right? You guys all want to know that information. So now that we've got all the registrations in for the show, we're now taking all that and we're going to map the show out. So we'll be working with the convention center. There's going to be a lot of back and forth going on in the month of December and kind of defining, okay, here's the show. This is what it's going to look like. So hopefully that we can get through all that in December, and then in January in this meeting, we'll bring that to you and say, hey, here's what the show is going to look like. And then we can start kind of divvying out what the booths are going to look like. You'll have sizes and all that good stuff. Any registration coming in from this point forward, there's a 20% fee due. That shouldn't be anything new to them, that we've been talking about the late fee for a while now. So just know that that's there. If you still want to register for the show, there's still an opportunity for you to get in there. Just be talking to those lane leaders, whoever you're talking to inside the showcase. Graphic design requests. So I believe this went out earlier to everyone saying, hey, if you are interested in AWG printing anything for you guys at the show, this is the timeline for that. And I'll put it on the timeline you'll see here in a little bit. But the important date on there is the design request period close. That's on February 17th. So if you need AWG to do any design work, print work for you, that 17th date is very critical to have all that information into us so that we can obviously hit the other dates that are on that calendar. There is a request form out there for that. I put a link out there. It's over there in orange on the right side. So if you need to do that, go ahead and just click on that and get it to us. FAQs, same way. I've been talking about this for a while. So if you have any questions about the show, any questions that come through this call itself, they're captured there on that document, so you can review it, the question and the answer, and so on. So timelines, next step. So Learning Lounge workshop, or past the vendor registration. So November 30th was the Learning Lounge also. So again, this week, and I'm hitting it hard. I know I am with you guys. We've got to have those filled out, those 2 links in the form. If you need those links, there is a link in the calendar invite to this presentation, and you're able to get to those links. You may have to hold down your control key and click on it, but you can get to those links inside that presentation. December 19th, attendee registration. We're going to open that up on December 19th. So that's when you're going to register your folks for the show. You'll have a good month, good solid 4 weeks to do that. January 20th is going to be that cutoff. Anything after that, there's going to be a fee associated with that. But it's 4 weeks. You can get those folks in there. So December 19th, that's a critical date that's coming up for you guys to start putting your folks into for the registration for them to attend the show. January 27th, that's our date. That's AWG's date to provide a final schedule for you guys around the Learning Lounge workshops, the culinary stage. So that's our date that we're going to hit to have that schedule done. A week after that is when we're going to release that to everyone. So we're going to let you guys know when that is. We're going to post it to the website. We're going to get it on the app. Really, because that was one of the requests from our members to say, hey, it'd be great to know what those schedules are going to look like, because I may want to bring some other folks to the show. So we want to get it out there much early for the members. But for the vendors, you guys also, it's nice for you guys to know so you can start planning, hey, this is what my day is going to look like when it comes to the innovation showcase. These are my slots. This is what I need to be prepared for. So it works on both sides of that fence. February 3rd, February 17th, it's all the collateral, any design stuff that you have for us that you want us to print for you, bring to the show. That's when those are due. And then finally on March 20th, obviously, is when the show opened. So we'll be adding to this calendar as things get a little bit more in the weeds, as we kind of dig in a little bit and we get closer to the show. But high level, that's kind of what we're looking at for the showcase.
Jason, just one question. On that timeline, it's showing February 3rd for the sponsorship collateral, and I think on the other graphic you showed the deadline was February 17th. So just wanting to understand exactly what that February 3rd date means.
Yeah, February 3rd is all the like the logos, PDFs, anything that would go on a website or anything like that. The 17th is more around anything that we need to design for you guys or go to print shops, larger graphics, banners, that sort of thing. But
Okay, so all the materials for like the brochures and the the signage and any handouts, things like that is due to you guys by February 3rd?
Right. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question. I'll spell that out a little bit better on there because there is a little bit of confusion there. So meeting recordings, obviously it's all out there. I'll have that out there. One thing to take away on this slide is there's not going to be a meeting on December 22nd or the 29th. So next week will be a good meeting to come to because that we're not going to have one for a few weeks and until we get into the new year. So definitely come next week and we'll have that final meeting for the year and see if there's any takeaways from there for the next week. And really, that's it. It's a little shorter because I took a lot of stuff out just under the assumption that everyone's aware of what we're doing, where we're going, that kind of deal. But the main thing to point out on this one is that annual showcase email address. Any questions whatsoever, we can help you out. Just start there. So I'll open up to you guys if you have any questions up to this point for the AWG team.
Hey, Jason, Larry Miller here.
Yes.
I submitted a session description and workshop based on an email I received from one of your team on Monday. Does that one submission cover Learning Lounge and the educational workshop, or are they separate submissions?
They're separate submissions. So if you want to do a Learning Lounge, submit that one. If you want to do an educational session, submit that one as well.
Got it. Thanks.
Thanks, Larry. Any other questions?
In terms of the Learning Lounge and education workshop, can you talk about the likelihood of getting both of those versus just one or the other?
Yes. Kate, are you on the line today? She must not be on there. Let's say the submissions that I've seen.
Hey, I'm here. Hey, yeah, sorry, couldn't get off mute. So I don't know the answer, and I probably won't know until we have all the final submissions in, which obviously Jason emphasized for us this week. We, if there are spots, then we're happy to slot, one group into two different sessions, depending upon the topic being different for both of those. We certainly don't want the same topic in both sessions, but it's really just going to depend on the submissions as they come in. So I'll know more in future weeks, but right now, if you think you want one in each, I would submit whatever you think you want, and we'll be vetting those this week to try to start slotting.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Any other questions? Good stuff, guys.
I have another question. In regard to samples, I guess kind of what are the expectations around samples? Like, should we be prepared to have product samples for all attendees? Is it kind of up to us at the table versus the education workshop or learning lounges? Is there an expectation that we have samples for each of those? Just trying to understand kind of what is typical at the show.
Good question. Jenny,
So
are you on the line? Go ahead, Kate.
So just with respect to the Learning Lounge or education sessions, you are welcome to, have samples. I think we actually saw some examples of sponsors doing that last year, and especially if you're talking about innovation in product or things like that, you're definitely welcome to have those. I would not say there's an expectation that you have to have them, at least for the education workshops or learning lounges. So if you feel like it'll be impactful, then, certainly bring them. What I will say is you are responsible for handing them out, those kinds of things. There won't be demo teams or anything like that to help with that. But you're welcome to bring them if you want to, with respect to the education sessions.
Jesse, did that answer your question, or was it more about the show floor?
Yeah, that's very helpful for those sessions. And then, yeah, in terms of the show floor, is it, should we be expecting to have a sample to give everybody who stops by, or kind of what is normal practice, I guess?
Jenny, are you on the line today? All right, I don't think she's on today, but I would think that it's really up to you to kind of control, how much you're going to give away at your booth. So if you want to have enough there for everyone, I would assume, hey, that's great, thumbs up. But if you kind of want to draw that back a little bit and kind of give things away on a select basis, I think that's really up to you guys. And if I answered that wrong, anyone from AWG, correct me.
No, I think you're right, Jason, and I think just it's not a food show, right? As we've talked about multiple times. So the expectation is not that you will be sampling product. Back to even at your booth, if it's relevant to whatever your initiative or innovation is, then you're certainly welcome to. But there is not an expectation that you sample or that everybody will get one, right? So I think you can build around however you want regarding samples.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, we did have one question come in. Will there be a sample request form to have products from the DC sent to the convention center for our booths? I've seen this every year at the show, so I'm gonna assume that yes, there will be a sample request form. I just haven't seen it this year yet. Can anyone speak into that from the AWG team?
Hey, Jason, this is
Hey,
Wendy.
Jason, it's likely that Wendy's going to be handling that again, but that usually is much closer to the show as far as when we start to finalize that. But we can definitely take that away as if you've done it in the past, you can safely assume that it will happen the same way it's happened in the past. But we'll get that information out to everybody probably at the first part of the year.
Thanks, Kate. Wendy, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was basically just going to reiterate what Kate said. So we're just trying to confirm with the warehouse right now what on those deadlines are going to be. Once I have those, then we'll get that sheet completed. That's kind of going to be part of the February 3rd deadline as well, is making sure that your sample forms are submitted, any of your third-party carrier information, all of that. So that packet, to Kate's point and Jason's, will be launched at the beginning of the year.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Any other questions?
Question for me. I shouldn't say one more, but another question.
You're fine.
In terms of the education workshop and learning lounges, are we able to do product demonstrations? So, I would envision, I guess, having kind of like water. So I'm coming from the home storage space. So we've got some innovation on our bags that we want to showcase, which would likely be kind of, showing how to use the bags during the cooking process and how the usability is being improved. So what we've done in the past is kind of like pouring water instead of, bringing food or anything more realistic like that. But are we able to do something that's more, hands-on than just, talking from slides, or do we want to keep it to presenting slides?
So this is Kate again, and sorry I can't see your name, but if you want to email me, there's a few different ways that we can potentially handle that. I would want to maybe have a conversation with you about that, but in general, we definitely don't just want, if you want to do something more dynamic than standing and presenting slides, we are happy to accommodate that in general. So we want them to be as interactive and engaging for the retailers as possible. So we would definitely encourage, things that are maybe outside the box when it comes to presenting information.
Okay. So Kate, should I contact you just through the annual showcase group box email?
Yeah, that's fine. You can just send me a note, and I just want to get some more detail about what, length of presentation and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Good questions, Jesse. Just don't say one more. Any other questions from the group? All right, very good. Well, I appreciate everyone being here today. Again, we'll meet next week. That'll be the final meeting for this year. But any questions whatsoever, annualshowcase.com or annualshowcase@awg.com. And we'll see you next week. Thank you, guys.